Guys, welcome to the Click Podcast. I'm here with my co-host Sach, and we are super excited to be here today, guys. From our previous videos, you saw that we've been doing a little intro. We're doing something a little bit different here. We're talking about some topics that we are very inspired about, coming along from our spiritual journey and how we apply that to life and how we apply that to business. But before we get into the actual podcast, we wanted to actually have a little bit of time to really explain how Sach and I met, how we became brothers very, very quickly, and then how we actually want to change and help and influence the world when it comes to men, to women, and just humanity as a whole. So Sach, thank you so much for being here. Let's give them a little insight on how we actually met. Go.
I love that, Josh. I love that. We're really excited about the Click podcast. We've been talking about this for quite a long time.
Yes, we have.
You know, we share a lot of our ideas and our stories with our friends and inspire a lot of people. And it was time to put this together, learn from each other once again, and get the message out there to the world and see how that works out.
Yeah, so here we are.
So really, really fascinating, I think, in life in general is when you seek and you have questions and you seek the answers show up, the teachers show up, the opportunities show up. It's about us taking that step and moving forward in life and not getting stuck. And I think that's really how both of us met. We were both, earlier on in our entrepreneurship journeys. I had just started my business. You were looking for ways to grow yours. And we both ended up taking some space at WeWork.
We did.
So a little shout out to WeWork. Great company, got us together and made a lot of friends there. And in that environment where you had a lot of like-minded people moving forward in their lives, that energy brings those ideas together. And we just had a conversation over a cup of coffee. Hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. How can we help each other? And years later, we've become very good friends. We're involved in each other's lives. We're involved in each other's businesses. And here we are doing this Click podcast together.
Yeah. And it's been beautiful because there's certain people that you meet in life and you just instantly know that they're going to be there forever. And I had a very good response, with Sach, and he's family. Sach is family. I'm his family. And we've had an opportunity to not only build like a life together, but also build other friendships and other family members that we like to include. But one thing that was really cool later in our journey, I guess you can say as brothers, we ended up finding out that we are also on another spiritual journey. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but I consider myself very spiritual and a spiritual Josh. And I had a spiritual awakening at the age of 19. And I would honestly say God just blessed me with a beautiful way to see life, to see the beauty in everything, every place, everyone, every conversation, every human being has something special to offer this world. And I was shocked because not a lot of people see the world that way. And there's a veil and there's like a filter that's over people's lives. And I was very lucky and very fortunate to have that veil released off of my lens very early on. And I matured very, very quickly. And I was able to see things and operate in a way, in a shape, in a fashion that was, I guess you can say, beyond my years, right? And I shared that with Sach, and he mentioned to me that he's, been on a spiritual journey himself. He's actually from New York, correct? And when I met, how many years have you actually lived in Arizona at that point?
At the time, I was 2 years in Arizona. So, I was not as fortunate to have that veil, removed from my life. For a long time, I was exactly what you were talking about. I saw things in a very limited way, didn't have a lot of understanding or awareness, but I knew something wasn't right. And so in New York, I had done everything. From the outside, my life looked perfect. It would look like if, Instagram was around back then, everybody would want to be me. I had the career in Wall Street. I had the cars. I had, the nightlife. I was traveling. I had the money. But I was really dying inside. And to be honest with you, I felt like I was living a lie. I had created this identity of this person. And every morning I had to wake up to pretend to be that person. And I stopped relating or caring about the things that, that society or that part of my life cared about. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted there to be more meaning, more passion, more purpose in my life. But I didn't know how to find it. I didn't know how to seek it. I didn't even know it existed. There was a moment in my life where I really thought that I didn't belong and, that I was never going to be happy and I was always going to be alone and I didn't really fit in because I don't think enjoyed life the way I saw other people enjoy it, because the things that we were doing didn't matter to me. And so with that, I knew something had to change. I needed to interrupt my pattern,
Yeah.
right? The only way to break open is to sort of first, crack the shell. And so to do that, I quit my job, high 6-7 figure job on Wall Street. I walked away from this identity I created, all the respect and the accolades and, the friends and family that were proud of you for being someone. I basically said, hey, that's not me. I'm out of here. And so I broke that pattern and I moved out to Arizona, of all places. And that was by chance. And, it was a calling. And I got here, and that's when I started this spiritual journey of really what that means to me is really within. It is to create that relationship with yourself and have the answers come from you and not have to look externally for joy, externally for what to do, who to be, what to work on. All those answers come from within, but you've got to, build that bond. You've got to build that relationship. For me, it started with just awareness of something's not right, and then paying more and more attention to what's going on inside. And when we met, I was sort of halfway in that journey. I felt like I was understanding the philosophies and the concepts, but it wasn't clicking. Hence the Click podcast. And when we met, some of our conversations and some of the experiences that we shared, I think it all came together. And it for the first time, it went from understanding and knowledge to being. And when it's part of you and that's how you operate versus understanding or thinking or knowing logically that's how you should operate, but you don't do it, everything changes.
Absolutely.
And so, I think that is where, our journey was very important to me and our relationship.
I am so proud of you, man. That was beautiful. It's incredible, guys. So Sach shared with me, just to guys give you a little bit more background, exactly like what he was seeking. And he says and I think we all kind of feel and relate even to his story. Like we're doing everything right. Everything looks great, but there's just something missing inside, right? Like what is going to bring me true fulfillment in life? What is going to bring me true happiness? Because even when we start making money and we have the success and we're doing all these things, we realize very quickly, I was like, that's not everything that it looks to be like on TV, on media, on books, on social media, all of that. And it's like, so why am I here? Like, who am I? Like, what is my purpose? Like, how am I going to really make an impact and influence in this life? And I was very fortunate to have a clear understanding of that very early on. And it's been beautiful because I've seen, God put people in my life that are on this type of journey seeking for those things. And I've had the ability to have the wonderful conversations with them. I've invited them into my home, into my space, and I would just love on them. And I would ask them certain questions about who they are, what they're looking to do, how they actually want to live their life, and have this self-discovery process with them. And it's very different for a lot of people because I like to go deep very quick and get down to the heart and the meat of things of this is how you need to show up. And then I'll give you guys some other background on that. So I've actually had psilocybin journeys since 2017, I believe, is the first time that I've done it. And outside of that, I've had a strong relationship with self. I've had a strong relationship with my relationship with Christ. But when I was able to actually have one of these journeys, it was a next level thing. My consciousness blew open. I thought I was really aware, but that was me walking with God hand in hand, feeling his love completely pour over me, and having this immense clarity, immense gratitude, immense appreciation for everything that exists in this world, from the dirt to the trees, to the people, to the conversations, everything was just like, wow, right? Welcome home, right? And that's exactly what I feel. It's like a blanket of love that is completely just thrown over you. And you're like, this is it. Like, I want to be in this space. Because when you're in that situation and you're actually experiencing one of those beautiful things, then you have to translate it once the effects have come down. Now, how do I apply this to real life? Now that I have this clarity and this understanding and this awareness and this gratitude and appreciation for life, what do I do with it, right? What do I do with it? So that was something that was very beautiful that I had on a mission. I want to show people the true beauty that exists in this reality, and then you can see it from a different lens and then realize they're one and the same. And that's how you find that inner peace. That's how you find that inner truth. I was like, I just have to show up like this. And I've shared that experience, with Sach, and everybody that we talk to about that, or I've talked about, you can see their eyes light up. You're like, damn, that sounds amazing, right? That sounds amazing. And from when I don't do this with many people, but I offered it, Sach, I have a certain ritual or a certain tradition that I do with, very specific people. Would you be interested? And I don't say that to everybody. There's people that ask me, and I just say, you're not ready, man. Like, you're not ready. But I knew that your heart was in a good space, your mindset was in a good space, and that this environment and this setting would actually be of benefit to you because you have the clarity and you have the understanding and you would know how to apply it. So tell me what you thought when I was like, hey, let's go do this. Let's set a date. Let's be intentional about this and let's get ready to rock. Tell me what you're going through on that.
Absolutely. Before I do that, I will say for the listeners, there is a method to the madness and a purpose for the story, not just to talk about, psilocybin, but really that's the origin of the term click for us.
Yeah.
And so that day, that experience, this podcast, our relationship, the growth that we've had, and the love that we exude for others, that all arrived, but for us as a relationship and a friendship that day, it all clicked. And so that's sort of the purpose of diving deep into this. And I will say, like, my mindset when you shared that opportunity with me, and I tried a lot of things. I was on a journey seeking for years, 5-6 years before, that moment. But it was all the work I think I'd done up until then to be able to be in the right state. So, everything in life, I think that we have, they're all tools. You could have a baseball bat and you could use it to go play baseball, and that's a tool. You could also use it to hurt someone. So it's not the tool that really has any emotion to it. It's the human being that applies the consciousness that they have and the emotion and feelings to any of the tools. Money is the same thing. Money has no thought, no emotion. It's just a tool. And it's our belief system and where we're at that we apply a emotion to it. Sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. So, it's one where we're at, and also having awareness of the emotions we're putting on certain things. So I went into that because of the state I was in with a very open mind. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really have any pure, agenda with it. I really went with trust. Mm-hmm. And I could see from you and watching you, and observing you, that there was something unique about you. You stood up to me as a really strong man. I saw the way you look at your girl and take care of her. I saw the way that you connect with your family, how you are with people, strangers, as well as, your best friends.
Yeah.
I saw how on top of your business you are, how you cared about the people in your business. Everything you did had a level of certainty and confidence, but without the ego, because it had love. So it had certainty and confidence with love, not with ego. And then I saw that everything you did and everything around you had a lot of joy. Mm-hmm. So, no one has a perfect day, but when you put everything into your day and you're aware and you live with intention, it's very hard to have a lot of bad days.
Yep.
Life will happen, but they don't disturb you because you're more in control of yourself. And I noticed this, and I was like, well, I want a piece of that. How do you do that?
Give me a slice.
Yeah. How do you do that? If I got to eat some not so great tasting mushrooms to do it, like, I'll do it, whatever it is. All in. So that's sort of what happened. And it was an incredible experience. It was really an incredible experience. And we can dive into a little bit more. But yeah, that was why I did it. That was my mindset going.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys, right? So if you guys are unaware, psilocybin is a very powerful tool, right? But it's only once you consume this and have the experience and how you apply that tool on your journey and how it actually continues to progress to change your life. Because guess what? You decided to make a decision. You decided to make a choice that I'm going to show up different in this world. And like you say, I'm going to choose to be happy. It's a choice, just like you were saying, right? There's a little piece of joy in everything that I do and every single day. Why? Because I made my mindset like that and I primed my experience every single day. Life happens to everybody, but you can actually be, like you say, in control rather than be in effect to it. based off your perspective, your decisions, your choices, and how you handle yourself and how you carry your emotions, right? But going back to how we came up with the Click name, while he was having an experience and while we're just kind of enjoying ourselves, having some water, having some fruit, I was asking you questions, right? I was asking you questions about your experience and how to have like higher understanding. And I could see the light bulb going off in his eyes. And guess what? I was like this, click,
Yeah.
like the dots connected, right? The dots connected on, wow, this is how I was when I was back then. That moment happened to me. And now it makes sense why I'm here today. And this all shape form, like, whoa, it's that easy. Yeah, it's that easy. And for a lot of people, it is that easy. But for a lot of people, it is not. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I don't get it. I don't have the understanding, right? It's because you have to do the work, right? The work doesn't just happen. Just because you're going to say, I choose to be happy, you have to understand what is the mechanics of what true happiness is. And how do you bring that? And how do you make it a routine in your life? Because I said, happiness is a choice. But it's until you make that choice or until you have that breakthrough point, right? Or sometimes even a breaking point, to put you in that scenario, to put you in a situation to where you just want to learn more about, your understanding and your relationship with the world, that you finally start asking those questions. And ask and you shall receive, right? Ask and you shall receive is one of these big understandings that we have to have, because if we want to see the person that we are 5 years from now, 10 years from now, even next week, we have to understand how we need to be today in order to become tomorrow. Yeah. That was a good one. I like that. I like that one too.
Yeah, the answers are not in a hurry. I think sometimes you could be fortunate and kind of be blessed to see life a certain way early on. It could happen later by chance, but as you don't have it early on and life gets busy and noisy, you get further and further away from it. So I think sometimes in my case, it kind of had to hit your version of rock bottom when you're like, I can't continue on like this. I can't continue on giving my power away to everything and everyone else. That could be for some people television. That could be for some people sports. That could be news. That could be family. That could be parents. It could be society. It could be religion. It could be culture. It could be a combination of all of these things, which is most likely the case. But you've given away your balance and your sense of self away to everybody else. And, based on the external mood, your mood shifts. That is, life's not going to work well for you that way. It didn't for me. Even you could be successful and you can make money, you can have a career, you can have certain aspects going right because you might pour a lot into it, but you won't enjoy it. You won't have joy. And I think I had to reach the rock bottom to be in that place to say enough is enough. I am going to find this answer. And it takes time and it takes, like you said, a lot of work. And I think the psilocybin, again, it's not the answer to everything. It's not like you could just go eat mushrooms and you'll come out and next day you'll be like, I'm perfect. I think it's the set and setting. I think it's the intention that you do certain things with. And I think the way we set that whole thing up, there was a lot of intention, and that goes to some of your questions. And I think the questions, because what happens when you are, in the space of the mushrooms, it just shuts down the monkey brain. It shuts down the excess logic. It shuts down the judgment. And so you're really just free. I mean, it basically takes you back to just being a kid where you're able to just absorb and pay attention. I mean, that's really what it is. You're just you're paying attention. You're paying attention to ideas and thoughts, and you're letting your mind use its massive power and run wild with it and take you where it does. And so if you can direct that intention a little bit, which is I think what the questions did and the set and setting did, now you can get far in a certain place. So I remember one particular question you asked me, Josh, and you said, I'll see if you remember the answer. You said, what is heaven? Do you remember what happened when you said that?
It's like, I'm going to assume it's here. Heaven's on earth. Heaven is on earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I looked around into the mountains and I was like, oh my God, this is heaven.
Yeah.
Look at this magnificent beauty that the world offers. Look at these amazing humans we get to live with. Look at the power of the breath. I'm able to, my blood's pumping every day and I can breathe and I don't even think about it. What more could heaven be than life?
Yes. Yes.
And since that day, I'm more grateful and I enjoy every day of my life because I feel like I made it to heaven. I'm alive as a human being with conscious thought. Is there anything better? If there is, we'll worry about it later. Like, I want to enjoy this.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, guys, because one of the, like when I said this is heaven on earth, when you like really get deep into, spirituality, we have to understand that we are a spiritual being having a human experience, not a human being have a spiritual experience. So when you think about a spiritual being coming into our body, guess what? Now they get to have the senses. They get to feel, they get to touch, they get to love, they get to smell, they get to walk, they get to breathe. They get to have this sensory overload, and that's what we get to do here. And then we decide, what is going to be our mission and how we actually apply ourselves to change the world. Guys, this is a big thing that I always like to tell people, is like, we are born into this world from love, right? You are born from love, and it's your ability to know and understand how you can connect back to that truth. And how do you apply that truth to the real world? How do you apply that truth to self? How do you apply it to your family? How do you apply it to strangers? And how do you apply it to humanity? We all have potential and we all can leave a great impact, right? But it's when you actually find that balance on how you can show up in this world is where beautiful things can really happen and magic starts to fall into place, and you have this explosion of happiness and idea and joy that just floods everything that's in your life, which is really, really beautiful. And you start to have clarity on a lot of different topics that we're going to review. So I'm going to leave it at that, though, guys, because we have a lot of topics when it has to do with love, self-love, masculinity, what do you define success, and how our spiritual connection has maybe even crafted or even changed our ideas of what those topics are. So I want you guys to take this episode. I want you to listen to it, maybe even listen again. But more importantly, I want you to tune into the other topics that we're going to have. I think they're very beautiful. Sach and I have been working on it for the last couple of weeks to figure out what are some really good topics that we can do that can reach humanity in a good way. So if you guys are excited about it, please make sure to follow the Click Podcast, and we will see you on our first episode. And we're so excited.
I'm excited.
And we love you guys. All right, take care.
Love is everything.